So we continue to maintain it as it was maintained back in the 60s. This has been sowed in oats for winter grazing of land. They built these, what they call tanks here in Texas, like ponds, sloughs, I'm not sure. But in any case, it was a retention basin for holding rainwater for the use of the cattle, as well as another measure that would reduce erosion. The cow-calf operation, LBJ had, was also given to the Park Service. We have 5 National Park Service ranchers that take care of our cows and calves, as well as the 600 acres of the ranch that the National Park Service was given. You can see some of our babies. LBJ did emphasize our relationship to the land, and quite often. Here's what he had to say to one graduating class.
3 things, and 3 things only, sustain life on this planet. They are a thin layer of soil, a cover of atmosphere, and a little rainfall. This is all that the good Lord has given us, except one thing. He has given us a choice of what we'll do with it. We can waste it, we can pollute it, we can neglect it, or we can conserve it, we can protect it, and we can develop it, and we can pass it along to our children. More promising, more abundant than we found it.
We have twins. Moments before, and would I be interested in coming out there and seeing them? So I grabbed the digital camera. We came right over this knoll here where the twins had been born. They were so new that they were still wet and sticky. Mom was cleaning them up. And it was really one of those magic moments that happened. And I got to thinking while I was standing there that, being I'm a volunteer here, it'd be kind of neat if they named the cows after me, or at least in my honor or something. Something really Minnesotan, so I could leave a mark. So I suggested that we call the twins Oli and Lena. Edward said he'd get back to me on that. But we do have Oli and Lena in the show barn. I think they're being Coulter trained. Well, I'm not sure what Edward is. I want to point out the tree here in Dale and Jewel Malachek's front yard. This was aged
We're about 650 years old.
You're maybe. Well, Jewel Malachek, Dale Malachek was LBJ's owner, ranch owner. He's passed away now, but his wife still lives there, and Will, his wife. For those of you who are not familiar with mistletoe, here in these mesquite trees with the clumps of green things are mistletoe. Up in Minnesota, we see it one time a year. It's at Christmas time, and they hang it over the middle of a doorway, and either you do or you do not want to get caught underneath there, because that means it's a big gift. So anybody that has that tradition and wants to take advantage of it, we are passing right under some mistletoe at this moment.
I didn't see a single kid.
Well, these are the calves being weaned on the left. The moms, the last 2 days were bellowing and carrying on like the calves didn't seem to mind much. But the moms were sure know what I mean. All moms will know what I mean. On the right is the new show barn. Dale Malachek, LBJ's foreman, told him that with all the hubbub going on down by the White House, they needed to build a new barn. So here we go. At the aisleway there, it's wide enough to go through a driver's Intercontinental right through the show barn. Apparently it was, what did they people wanted to or not, they did get a tour of the ranch when they came out to do this with the LBJ. Well, for any of you that are interested in meeting Oli and Lena, or 444.
Which one's that?
This is probably Lena. That looks like Oldie.
Only.
Yep. Oh, and here's Mom over here.
That's 977, the mom behind you.
Okay.
And they've got the brand, the horns. They've got the numbers on the horns.
That's amazing.
For those of you that did walk through the gate there, the iron.
Look at this guy.
We have 1560 malls. Watch the sunset. We got him talking once about what the hill country meant to him.
This is my country, the hill country of Texas. And through the years, I would always return. The scenes of my childhood. Something different about this country than any other part of the nation. The climate is generally pleasant. The sun is generally bright. The air seems to be always clean, and the water is pure. The moons are a little fuller here. The stars are a little brighter. And I don't know how to describe the feeling other than I guess we all search at times for serenity, and it's serene here. And there's something about this setting that brings new life and new hope and really a balanced and better viewpoint after you've been here a few days.
Left the National Park Service area of the LBJ Ranch. This area we call, Ladybird calls Bush Park, continues to belong to the way, he always wanted to come to the ranch. Greenberg liked traveling, and this was named after a park that she also visited a lot of national parks while she was the First Lady. Draw attention to the fact that LBJ did add over 9 million acres to our public lands while he was in office. Well, if we don't see him here, when we get out onto Martin Road and head back, you'll probably be able to see him from that. I'm going to let Joe Califano sum up LBJ's accomplishments as our environmental president.
He was the first president, maybe to deal with the problems those benefits create. He changed the whole vantage point of this country on environmental issues.
For years, he and Rosanna were still very much married. Yet by April 10th, he expected to be able properly to speak of intentions for his kind that will prove ruinous to the country, they resolved, by destroying the commerce and stopping the emigration. In a resolution that Travis himself probably drafted, they decided to discharge Tenorio and his soldiers and customs officials and send them back to Mexico.
We're seeing
Unless something arose to alter their determination of Anahuac. The resolution did not necessarily imply violence, but
This
the
one
fear
here
of
is
it
a
must
house.
have been sufficient that many of those
Where
attending had
LBJ
changed their
grew up.
minds, though not Travis. During the next several days,
You wanna
other
go down in
matters
front of it,
diverted
too?
Travis's attention momentarily. On June 9th, he got a report that Austin was finally released and expected to have left Mexico on May 25th. William Johnson
This is
and the rest
boyhood
had
home
been
of
arrested,
LBJ.
and General Cost and the Saltillo forces dispersed the Monclova faction and cracked
Yeah,
down on
after-
and the Monclova legislators
He lived here from
themselves
4 to
tried
when, do you know?
unsuccessfully to Behar.
I don't know. Yeah.
Meanwhile,
Oh,
Travis,
no.
an attempt to publish the
LBJ
laws of Texas and
boyhood
Coahuila
home.
in combined English,
Go hear
no
some of
doubt,
that.
assuming that it was involved with the project from being known. Let us wait with patience the issue of things, he counseled Smith on June 9th. The time will come when we shall be called upon to act. It came soon. And a number of other leading men, including Gordon, Williamson, Hall, and more who shared his views.
Polo
But the
ranch,
consultation was to
Lights
meet on
flashing on
October
the ambulance.
15th or the
Really?
next day,
Must
and
have
there
had a
was no
polo
way he
accident.
could go to Behar and take his
FBI agents and U.S. Park Police. Watson drove to Washington from Whitakers, North Carolina, to protest the government's
We're going
tobacco
into Austin?
policies that have left him in debt and unable to farm. The government deployed hundreds of police officers to deal
In NPR's Business Update, the Securities and Exchange Commission has charged healthcare services provider Healthcare South and its CEO with
I just saw the Capitol over there. It's behind this big building now.
What's the biggest building in the world at one time? Or one of the
No,
biggest
7th. That's the Pink Granite.
There it is.
I think
Boy,
it's
look at the traffic there, would you?
the second to the state national capital.
Well, we got to.
Here's the Marvin. That's where we're headed, the Lyndon Baines Johnson Library.
But it's an hour. It's funny they don't tell you about the LBJ Library in this direction. Must be up there, huh? Look at all the parking.
Wish we could get tickets to Austin City Limits. It's a good show. Austin City Limits.
Oh, yeah. Gotta get even further away. Gonna go up and hit it? You gotta get over there so I can get you into your wall. Okay, look this way. Richard.
I didn't know Andy.
This is the Oval Office used by the President of the United States in the White House. The Oval Office itself is located in the West Wing of the Executive Mansion. Built in 1902, it has been occupied by every president since Theodore Roosevelt. The way you see the office here is the way it looked during the administration of Lyndon Baines Johnson, except for one detail. This is 1/8 smaller than the real Oval Office. The desk is the one Mr. Johnson worked at from the time he served in the United States Senate and through the White House years. It generally appeared this way, with considerable material stacked and waiting for his attention. Items tabbed with red were urgent. Many laws of the Great Society were signed here. The remote control units on the desk and on the small table beside the rocking chair would activate the 3-screen TV console. The President would watch the news on 3 networks, selecting the audio he preferred. The rocking chair was President Johnson's, as was the marble-top table, specially designed with a call directory telephone mounted in the drawer. The panel of buttons gave him instant communication with members of his staff. That were gifts from the armed forces to the commander-in-chief. In late October 1968, less than 3 months before he left the White House, the 36th President of the United States reflected on the Oval Office as it looks to the man who works.
Platform of doing what was wrong. But every man who's ever occupied this office has been dedicated to doing what the people of this country. I'm utterly convinced that when any man takes the oath of office as president, he is determined to do what is right as God gives him the wisdom to know the right. Always, some of their dreams may have not come true.
This morning after breakfast, I went down to Doris.
But I'm so grateful and so proud
jasmine bushes and a little
that I had my
magnolia
king.
and juniper bulbs. Me thinking I could find them somewhere. And in a florist sketch, they are quite numerous and expensive.
Doing the
We
greatest
walked through
good.
the woods to the old Haggerty place, site of an old colonial mansion now quite dilapidated and doleful. It always gives me a very poignant feeling to go over there. It must have been a lovely place. There are the tallest magnolias there, and great live oaks, and myriads of fake myrtle.
Can't know what happened and its political significance. But for the third grade, I took a group first grade, 6 years old. These kids are still using the big cheap tablet. They came with the whole family. In the library, and I access to then
Bike trails around town lake. The greatest satisfaction of the past years has been starting wildflower festival. Just over the horizon, where work goes on to encourage the use of native plants and grasses in grand landscapes in all parts of the country. Much of my life, of course, has been associated with what goes on inside this building. Conferences, demonstrations, and exhibitions in so many thousands here and here. Echoes of the past down this path.
Yeah.
Much of my life has been associated with what goes on inside this conferences and exhibitions bring so many thousands here and here. Also, and a dedicated group of
As a nation, we're gathered together. And I have found is what really makes the difference. For the man of that house to care.
It's not like a cigarette tobacco nowadays. It wasn't that very long. Now this belongs to Bud, and it is a buffalo. And you know, if you ever go out and you go to the LBJ ranch to take it, okay? Clear day to see the buffalo. We don't see buffalo in this part of the world too much. Well, you can see the buffalo roaming, okay? This is, oh, I'm sorry. An Indian dress, made out of what? Pine, yes. Okay, what do you think they colored it with? What would they have colored it with?
What kind of gun is that?
It's called a blunderbuss.
Blunderbuss?
Although Lewis, William Clark called it a blunderbutt or a blunderbuss.
Then when they saw this coming out, look at the teeth.
School board divided on whether the world was round or flat, and they asked him how he taught him the poor fellow needed a job so much. He said, I can teach it either way. I feel very much Churchill felt when the ladies of the Temperance Union called upon him at the dark days just before the end of World War II. And they said, Mr. Prime Minister, this little dainty lady who was chairman of the temperance group, said, we have on reliable authority that if all the alcohol, all the brandy that you have drunk during this war could be emptied in this room, it would come up to about here. And it was a big room, and she held her hand up above her head. It was more than half of the room filled. Churchill looked at the floor, and then he looked at the ceiling, and then he kind of pondered, and he said, my dear little lady, so little have we done. And then he took her hand and looked at where it was measuring it and saw how far it was to the ceiling. He said, so much we have yet to do. And reminded her to the Lord and said, dear God, said, please send Mama $100 to help with the family. The letter wound up on the Postmaster General's desk, and he was quite touched by it, and he, at that time still had a little money left over from what he'd earned at Prudential. So he took a $20 bill out of his pocket and put it in the Postmaster General's envelope, and a stamp on it, and sent it to the little boy. And about 2 weeks later, he got and said, much obliged for all you've done. Said it was a great help. Appreciate it. But